think all parents have been in some sort of situation with their kids, whether that's feeling uncomfortable or noticing that someone is staring or a confrontation, or like personally, I have been in.
We don't just talk safety, we live it here. Today, I'm joined by someone who I absolutely love and adore, and she embodies exactly that, talking and living safety. Kat Oramas. Kat is a bold voice and a powerful advocate for equipping women and families to rise above fear, sharpening their awareness, and standing firm in a world that too often preys on the unprepared. She's not just about tips and tricks, she's about building a lifestyle of resilience and strength. Get ready because today we're diving into a real world of habits that can literally change the way you move through life. Thanks so much for joining me today, Kat. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here too.
I want to just kind of dive into your background a little bit. Can you share a bit about your journey that kind of got you started on a world of safety and creating hard targets?
Yeah, I'm prior military, so I was in the Army for about 9 years. And that obviously opened up a whole realm. Before the military, I'm from a little country town up in Ohio, very secluded, not a lot of street lights. It's very small. So going from that little country town into the military, that in itself was kind of a big culture shock in a way, just slightly. And then the military, I learned a lot about myself and maybe all of my little warrior spirits that started coming out, and how much I fell in love with learning and being in that sort of environment of protecting and learning how to defend myself and obviously defend the United States. So I would say that is where a lot of it all started. And then when I got out of the military, I became an occupational therapist. And that's a very different realm. Now I'm still protecting and defending people, especially when it comes to their rights as individuals, but being able to help them and then watch them grow. COVID happened, and I decided that although I loved what I was doing, maybe that realm in the medical field was just not for me. And at the same time, luckily, the security industry opened up for me. And then I started working executive protection and security all around the United States and also outside of the United States. And that opened up a whole nother warrior inside of me that I found. And then leading to now, I still do executive protection, but not as often because I found my new and improved purpose, which is working at WAFT, with which WAFT stands for Where Our Families Train. And that helps not just individuals or protecting individuals, but it goes into being able to hone in on teaching families and equipping them with confidence and tools to help them feel more being able to protect themselves, which that's the name of the game with everything that's going on in the world. I can equip myself and maybe you with the right tools so that you and I can walk confidently in this world and feel like we can protect our families and teach our families how to move in this world. But now every individual that comes through there, we put our own little touch as instructors on them to make them feel confident. That's being able to gift that to someone where they can be anywhere and feel 10, 20, 30, 100% more confident to protect themselves. That's like, it gives me goosebumps. That's what my purpose is. Like, that is 100% my calling. And then watching our generation, our kids grow up and be able to replicate that and do that and then teach their friends. That's me in a little basket.
I love it. I love it. We met back in May when I went to WAFT for the first time with Jen, my co host of a different podcast. and we just kinda hit it off, like, right away, and I
Instantly.
just love your vibe, I love your energy, I love how much you just care for kids and just for people in general. Um, was there something in your life, like a moment before you went to the military, that you just kind of realized, "I can't be a soft target, I need to equip myself to be a hard target"?
I feel like my mom is a very good, I guess, demonstrator of, like, what it is like to be strong and having to be independent. I always felt growing up like I have to be independent and I have to be able to hold my own, and that was even more validated in the military. Just being a female in the military, feeling like I do have to validate and own up and come to the same level as everyone else around me. I don't have excuses. I just need to show up and perform and get it done. And that goes alongside with everything else that I do in my life, whether it is just providing for my son or being able to compete, whether that's shooting or in competitions or just in life. I need to be up here and not play this catch up game because that catch up game, it's going to impact me negatively because there's going to be a point in time maybe where that catch up game is going to be a little bit too late, which is what we're seeing,
Yeah,
now.
yeah, absolutely. Many people think that safety equals paranoia. How do you balance living freely with staying situationally aware?
Yeah. I would say that being paranoid and situationally aware, they kind of go hand in hand, but there's a way to go about it. I think that paranoid is almost a false sense of what people might pair with situationally aware, but if I'm walking into a new environment that I haven't been into, I don't need to make everyone else around me know or myself be so over alert to where I'm constantly scanning, I'm looking around. It's more of a fidget instead of a flow is how I would maybe describe it, to where my eyes are
Mhm.
constantly scanning and I'm looking around, and my I can see how my heart rate would even be elevated doing that. So, being situationally aware is being able to still be zen and be in control of yourself, but also just be aware of your environment and being able to still flow with your environment. So, picking up on precursors of potential threats. I can still do that and still be completely zen and in control. And hey, that's a little bit off. That's a little bit off in comparison to where paranoid, if I see something, I'm gonna be like, oh crap, 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 crap. Well, now my OODA loop, my mindset is now going to shift into that paranoid, which is the negative side of being situationally aware. So I think that
Yeah,
could be a whole nother deep dive, but
yeah.
that's how I would kind of describe those two.
So we see all the time, and Philip at WAF does such a great job at showing us reality versus social media, right? What would you say is a myth that you hear often about self protection that you'd like to just bust through the walls today?
That one is pretty dynamic too. I think everyone would assume that self-protection, that you have to have some sort of weapon, and unfortunately I think that automatically our minds go to pews, goes to guns, goes to something like that. But I think I would just want to hone in specifically that I think it's important that we become proficient and at least understand how to use a firearm and to own one in case something would be to happen, to have that level up just in case someone would be to have something like that. But understanding that we have so many other tools that we can use to get started on self protection, such like a flashlight. I was not aware of how important a flashlight can be, specifically the wall flashlight,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
not only can I use it as a flashlight if I lose something or if I'm walking around, but you learn how to use that flashlight and not to keep it on the whole time because now someone can see exactly where I am, but a quick little flash. Well, she has one tool, she probably has more tools, absolutely. And when I use that on someone, I briefly blind them from what I am doing. Maybe I'm able to create distance. Now I'm elevating my voice. I'm making
mhm,
myself be more aware to other people around me. So if I could hone in, it would be on getting familiar with the other tools that you would be able to carry on you at all times or carry on you in certain situations, even if it's a knife, pepper spray, flashlight. Those are everyday things that anyone can carry, not just women, not just men, but anyone can carry until we feel more comfortable and
Mhm.
confident with the firearm. And then at that point, that is then when a firearm is then safe to be able to carry. Because I don't want to carry a firearm if I've never shot a firearm, if I don't know how to
Yeah.
properly holster it and unholster it and feel comfortable using it, because now that's a potential tool that someone else could use if I get in a, like some sort of scuffle. So
Yeah. It was quite amazing to me when I trained with you and Ben in hand-to-hand combat, and we were able to use the flashlight. And man, with the bezeled flashlight, that thing would do some serious damage if I had to defend myself physically from a predator. So, if you don't already, get yourself a WAF flashlight. You can do so at WAF.com. And if you use code BEBOLD, you'll get an automatic 10% off of that flashlight. We just got one for our oldest daughter who's not been to WAFT yet. She and Jason were training yesterday in her bedroom on how to use the WAFT flashlight to defend herself, create distance. Yeah, it was really, really
that's
awesome
exciting.
to see. So, okay, so for moms and parents, specifically moms and parents, what habits can we model for our kids so they grow up confident and not fearful in the face of an extremely dangerous world that's not getting any safer?
Yeah. Well, I know for my son, so Gunner has been instilled a lot of amazing things to practice at a very young age, with both of his parents being in the military and then me in executive protection. His father's in law enforcement now. So I feel like he's already been very implemented in it, and even more so with going to WAFT, obviously, with all the things that he's been able to learn. And one thing that we can gift to our kids as parents is being confident. I think all parents have been in some sort of situation with their kids, whether that's feeling uncomfortable or noticing that someone is staring or a confrontation. Or, like, personally, I have been in a few situations where when I'm with Gunner, where I had to break up something or watching a child being struck multiple times by what I would assume to be their parent, I will never be able to just be a bystander to not do anything. So I've injected myself in situations like that. And luckily, every time I had tools on me, never had to use them. But I don't
Mhm.
want to show my son that it's okay to acknowledge what is happening, but not do something, even as something as small as calling 911 or using our voice to help someone who's not able to help themselves. So in a world, I would just say, with what we're experiencing now in this world, it's so scary and it's sad and unfortunate, because we do have to be able to let our kids go and let our kids grow up and eventually leave our household. And I'll be damned if I let my son or any of his friends, any child that I am able to instill something in, feel like they would not be able to help themselves in a situation. For me to think that my child would ever feel helpless in a situation, I'm going to hold that guilt and responsibility, because that's my responsibility as a parent to be able to equip him with the right things. So as a parent, I would just hope that we become more aware of our surroundings and be that light for them and demonstrate what it is to be a protector and to be confident in our own bodies and in our own skin, because they will replicate that. So that's what I
Yeah,
would sure hope that
absolutely.
parents are doing now.
So I get this question all the time. I see something in public, um, a parent striking a child. I'm assuming it's a parent, or I suspect someone's being snatched up from someone they don't know, or I suspect trafficking. Um, how would you recommend that they respond practically in that situation? Do you have any tips for them?
That's a hard one too, because we don't want to become a victim ourselves, but we still can gather as much information as possible if there's a license plate, what the individual is wearing, what that child is wearing, exactly where it's happening and at what time. And if there's people around us or just ourselves, to call 911 and dump all of this information, because when adrenaline is pumping, and especially if we're witnessing something like that, in the moment, we may be taking in the license plate Golf Papa Romeo 888, Golf Papa Romeo 888. But as the time goes by, that license plate is not maybe going to be as clear. So I would say calling 911 right away. And if I am not, this is where the dynamic changes, because if I am not with my son, I may do a little something different than if I am with my son. Still, I feel like would be effective,
Sure.
but not inserting myself to the point where I don't know what they have. Do they have tools? Do I have my tools on myself? How many of them are there? Are there other people? And this is where situational awareness is so important, is where there's one, where there's two, where there's three, there's probably more. And there's probably individuals that are overlooking what is happening and watching, and they could very well be watching me. So I know that's a lot to kind of take in, but I would make myself known that I know what is happening.
Yeah.
To inject myself fully in that, I feel like that's what my soul would want to do, is I would want to grab that individual. I would want to strike the predators. I would want to do whatever I can. And in that moment, I don't know what I would do, but I feel
Mhm.
like I know I would call 911. I know that I would make myself absolutely known and get other people around me to also know what is going on. And if we can go collectively together 5, 10 seconds and go help, I would say that is the absolute best bet, because they don't want to be known. They're trying to do this as slick as possible, as quick as possible. And if I can catch that and I can intervene, I feel like that's what we all should do, because if not, this is going to keep happening. We are going to
Yeah.
shut our eyes to it and pretend like it didn't happen. And we see that. We saw it in the WAF videos. I see it all the time on social media. How can you watch something happening and do absolutely nothing? At the minimum, call 911. At the minimum, get the person next to you's
Yeah.
attention and say, hey, look, look, look. What are you doing? What are you doing? At least people are, if I'm pointing and say, what are you doing? Other people are going to look and say, well, what are they doing? And if they choose not to engage and no one is engaging, that's a failed society. 100%. That's
Yeah.
individuals not
For
taking on
sure.
responsibility to be a protector.
So what I hear you saying is there's power in numbers. You want to make yourself loud. You want to make yourself known. And if you are the one in danger, let's turn this around. So what should someone do, in your opinion, in your professionalism, if they realize that they're being followed? We see this all the time by women, especially, that they are being followed, and a lot of times they don't know how to respond. So what would you recommend? Just a few simple tips that they can remember.
Yeah, I would say always stand up for yourself and use your voice. Your voice is going to be your very first tool that you're going to be able to use. I always say that there is this thing that happens and it's called the silent fight. The silent fight you will lose every single time. The silent fight, no one else hears what is happening. If someone is trying to, if someone is following me and I pick up on it and I just, oh, crap, I need to go. I need to go. No one else knows what is going on around me. I'm going to call you out and I'm going to be nice and loud and I'm going to be very stern about it. I'm not going to be nice. Everyone else around me is going to know that I'm uncomfortable and I do not know you. What are you doing? And if they ever get to the point
Mhm.
where it's hands on, my head automatically goes to, I will eliminate this threat, get them away from me, and make sure that I am not going to become any sort of victim. I will never be a victim. I do not have a victim mentality. And if I feel threatened, everyone else around me is going to know that I feel threatened, because, like how I said before, in numbers, we are so much stronger. And if I'm alone and I feel like someone is following me, I know that I already have my tools. Okay, I'm going to grab my flashlight, I'm going to flash it, I'm going to flash it at them, create distance, but just you have to use your voice. That's my number one go-to in all scenarios that we run at WAFT, is you have to use your voice and you have to be confident. You're going to be scared as shit. You have to use your voice and you have to be stern. I don't always teach the first I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to tell, and then I'm going to make. I think that there's little fuzzy points in that. If you already make me feel uncomfortable, I'm not going to ask you. That's already out the window because you broke my little bubble barrier. You made me feel uncomfortable. I don't have to ask you any longer. I'm going to tell you, and then I will 100% make you. And I think if we get in that mindset of if someone breaks the distance and gets so close to you, you are 100% fighting for your life. The videos, the things that we see on social media, do you think that people get 2, 3, 4, 10 seconds to think about how I'm going to break this down? No. In combatives, one part that we learn is when we conceal our knives and we do reps of lifting and striking, lifting and striking. Guess how fast? Guess how fast I can do it. And this was only my first time trying it. Guess how fast?
Like 2 seconds.
No, 0.69 seconds. Under a second is how quick I did that. And that's without me really even training. So if you think a person, I would assume that they're confident if they're carrying a knife. That's how quick I have to respond. That's how quick that I have the opportunity to respond in hopes that I'm that much faster than him. Because as soon as they break that distance, I'm now in a reactive mindset. I'm not that when something is done, we only have to react now. So that's, I guess that would be my main breakdown is you have to use your voice. That's my number one takeaway. Do not put yourself in the silent battle. Do not.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, besides the obvious, why do you think it's so important in today's world that families and women in particular and children in particular become hard targets? I know that there's a few recent events that we could certainly talk to, but why do you think it's increasingly becoming a necessity for families, women, and children to become hard targets?
I feel like the elderly, women and children, we've always been looked at as an easy target. Our feminine energy makes us less masculine, and I can understand from a dynamic that the man is the protector, and I guess in a family dynamic where that would make sense. And it does make sense to me. But a woman is extremely capable of what a man is capable of. And a woman is absolutely capable of being able to protect herself. In this society where specifically women and children are being preyed upon, it is so much more important now that we equipped ourselves with the right tools and give ourselves that confidence that we are not easy targets. We are hard targets. And people have asked me like, do you compete? Are you in CrossFit? Are you doing this and this? And I go, well, I'm in the security industry. So number one, I do feel like I need to look a certain way. Okay. I don't want to be scrawny. I don't want to look like you're gonna one over me, or if you push me, I'm gonna, fall over. But
Yeah.
there's so much more to that is that when I'm just walking in and every day, I don't want to look like an easy target. I am not going to have my face buried in my phone. I am going to be looking around. I have my flashlight in my hand. You're not going to see that. I'm just going to have it there. I have other tools on me. Okay, I may give a little smile here and there. I'm looking around. Hey, hi, how you doing? But my head is constantly playing scenarios in my head. Even when I'm driving, when I'm
Yeah.
every day, I probably put myself in 5, 10, 20 scenarios of the what if game. And
Yeah.
it's almost like I reenact it from start to finish in some scenarios. Oh, this car's pulling out really slow. Why? As soon as I walk past that car, I do a quick little look back, just maybe it's just a slow driver. Maybe it's absolutely nothing, but I at least gave that brief second of acknowledgement and a quick little look. Oh, okay. And it's almost like I can confirm what I was originally thinking, but I have all these other things that pop up. And so I think if women would play the what if game in their head a little bit more, they would feel more confident, but also play the what if game with their kids. And I know we've talked about it in WAFT every single time of when we pull into the gas station. We talk to our kids to pick out, do you see any red shirts? Well, what if this happens? Like, what do you think? Like, how do you think you would react? Because you don't know until that situation happens. So even just talking about it without having to go through that scenario training, like how maybe you would at WAFT, sprouts that little thing in their brain, that little, maybe it makes an extra little neural pathway road where if this does happen, well, how would I react? Well, I would sure hope I wouldn't just sit here with my seatbelt on and watch mom. I would let her know I see this and I see that. So I would just say that women are not easy targets. Children are not easy targets. Men are not easy targets. The elderly are not easy targets. And we need to get in our heads that we are hard targets. When something would be to happen,
Absolutely.
I am a hard target. It's going to be a hell of a fight, and I will 100% succeed because I have to go home. I hope that
Yeah.
individuals think that, like, I have to go home to my kids. I have to still be a daughter to my mom. All of these things. I have all these cats. I need to take care of them. Like, I have all of these things that I need to do. You bet your ass that I'm going to go home. And so I think if we get in that mentality of fight, 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 let me be aware and I'm going to fight, I think that people would stop thinking that certain individuals are such an easy target. And maybe social media and the news, they show the soft targets, but we don't see all of the times that women and children stand up for themselves and are a hell of a hard target and something that they should absolutely be proud of. And I think we should share more of that. Everyone does want to talk about
Yeah.
all of the unfortunate times and the soft targets, but at the same time, with showing and seeing that although it's uncomfortable, we can still take out, well, what if she would have sat over here where her back wasn't exposed? What if she wasn't on her
Mm.
phone? What if? And that's where that what if game comes into, and just taking it as these are things that I now need to practice. These are tools that I need to make sure that I practice every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I hear you saying, a pattern of what I hear you saying is that you need to make your presence known. You
Hmm.
Predators thrive on the element of surprise. So, just like tigers in the wild, we need to keep our eyes fixed forward towards the predator so that way they cannot have the element of surprise. And our kids can absolutely be an asset and not a liability. We can train them to be able to defend themselves, and we can train them so that way we are a team unit in public and even in the home, so that way they know how to respond and how to help the family as a whole. So, Kat, what is one thing that you want to leave our viewers with today?
I would leave everyone with to be a hard target, to get training, and to be confident. And if you do not feel confident, then maybe that's where training needs to start happening. If you do not carry, I would say, I'm going to completely take a whack at a guess. I would say 80%, maybe even higher, of, let's just hone it in on parents and women, do not carry some sort of tool. Just do not. That would leave me to assume that you are either amazing at jujitsu hand to hand, that you are an extreme ninja, or you're just unprepared.
Mm,
Probably the unprepared one is what I'm going to go with, because less than 1% of the population involves and immerse themselves in some sort of self-defense training like jujitsu or grappling. So I would say carry a tool. If you don't feel comfortable carrying a pew, learn and understand. And if not, there's so many other tools that you can have: pepper spray, a knife, a flashlight. And have you ever seen those really cool those cat eyes where you put your fingers in the cat eyes and they're like a punching tool? That's
no,
really,
I
really cool. I'll have to
haven't.
show you that later. Um,
I'll have to check that
but
out.
that is something that you would use when the distance is already closed.
Hmm.
We're trying to create distance. So that's where that flashlight, pepper spray would extremely come in handy. At the minimum, please carry pepper spray. Please carry a flashlight. So I think that's what I would leave everyone is: get familiar with your tools that you're using, and at the minimum carry a flashlight or pepper spray, and be a hard target. You are not a soft target. I don't know how many times you need to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that to build confidence. Go to training, get some sort of training, come to WAFT and train. You will 100% love it and you will want to come back. And
A million
Do not
times. Yeah.
fight the silent fight, is what I would say too. You have to use your voice at a minimum of everything. Over your tools, you have to use your voice and be known.
Awesome. Kat, thanks so much for your time today. Everybody tune back in. We will have more episodes like this on hard target habits with the bold advocate and Kat. I cannot imagine this will be the last time that you will be on the show. So until next time, we'll see you soon.